Hey guys, my name is Chris. Today I've finally decided to tell you this story. You probably used to play in a treehouse or a fort when you were a kid. Little did I know that one day I would find something that would turn the lives of everyone I love upside down in my treehouse. My parents have always been very decent people, so the purpose of their life was to raise worthy and well-mannered children. Sadly for them, it didn't work with me. I've always been kind of a wild child. I was neither a good student nor a right-minded young man. Unlike my older sister Molly, she would do everything to please her mom and dad. Her reputation at school was spotless. Looks and smarts, but everyone's got a skeleton in their closet. This all happened when my sister was in her last year of school. It was such a big moment for our family. So many plans and expectations. My sister seemed to be really happy and excited, but I saw that there was something wrong with her. First, I noticed that she stopped eating in the mornings, and even Mom's pancakes, which were her favorite, could not tempt her to eat a bite. She looked tired and exhausted all the time. When I asked her what was going on, she told me she was studying hard day and night to try to get into college. And I found that answer to be reasonable and comforting, but there was still something else. One night, I heard her talking with her boyfriend, Tim. And as far as I could hear, it wasn't a pleasant conversation. And for the record, I was the only person who knew my sister actually had a boyfriend. This secret was shared with me in the strictest confidence from our parents. When I asked her what had happened, she just said, "He's not my type." Not her type. They've been madly in love with each other for such a long time. I just didn't get it. But then it got worse. Molly became so irritable, and any little thing would just set her off. We didn't go for walks or watch movies at night anymore, though we've always been really honest and close to each other. Now she would rather spend her time in bed with a huge plate of sandwiches. It looked like my sister had gotten depressed. Really depressed. I was totally convinced that Tim was to blame. Did he offend her or treat her badly? Whatever happened between those two, I had to figure it all out. I got in touch with Tim, and he agreed to meet me. To my surprise, I found him lost and heartbroken. He had no idea why Molly had booted him all of a sudden, and he hoped I was going to give him some kind of an explanation. So I was left with the suspense killing me even more. Then one day my sister came up to me and said, "We have to talk." First, we were walking silently, but then she asked, "Do you remember the treehouse we used to play in when we were little? I wonder if it's still there." Of course I remembered. We easily found it and got inside. It was still the same. We had a lot of happy memories in that place. I was so happy to see my sister smiling again when she suddenly said, "I'm not going to college, Chris. Don't tell Mom and Dad. And please don't be sad when I leave." These words just left me completely speechless. What on earth could force my sister to make that decision? Why and where did she want to go? No matter how I tried to get the truth out of her, she refused to tell me. Molly's words tortured me all night, and it didn't take her long to turn them into reality. The next day, she didn't come back from school on time. When my mom called her, we heard the phone ring from her room. We went upstairs to see that her room was a complete mess. The closet was almost empty, and my sister's phone was sitting on the nightstand and ringing. My father called Molly's teacher, and it turned out that she hadn't even been to school that day. My parents were absolutely shocked and discouraged. They immediately asked me if I knew anything about it. I couldn't bottle it up inside myself anymore, and I told them the whole story right away. Mom almost fainted. She had never had the slightest idea that anything was wrong with her little girl. She wanted to call the police at once, but my dad was more reasonable. He didn't want to spoil my sister's reputation, so we decided to start looking for her ourselves first. I called Tim and all of Molly's friends, but nobody knew where she was. Mom was on the phone all day long, and Dad was driving around the neighborhood. It was already getting dark, but Molly never showed up. I was in despair. The thought that I would never see my sister again was killing me. So I was just wandering around when I found myself not far from our treehouse. That was probably the best place I could have been that moment. But then I realized that there was somebody up there. I couldn't believe my ears, but I was sure that I could hear a baby crying. I climbed up the ladder and saw my sister Molly in tears holding a baby. Now it was my turn to almost faint. I was standing there with my mouth wide open for a little while, but then I collected myself and rushed to help her. I knew I had to bring her to the hospital urgently, but she kept sobbing and told me she couldn't ever go back home. She was afraid that her mom and dad would never have her back because she had let them down so badly. And she thought that they would probably make her give the baby up because she was only 17. I asked her why she had broken up with Tim instead of telling him the truth and starting a happy family. Fear was the answer to that question as well. But there was no time for all of this. I had to bring my sister to her senses and to persuade her that she and her baby needed medical help. I made her a promise to stand her ground if our parents were against the baby, and she finally agreed. I called an ambulance, and very soon my sister and her newborn baby were safely at the hospital. I called my parents and said that Molly was in the hospital and that she was fine, but I didn't have the heart to tell them that they had become my grandma and grandpa. I'll never forget the moment when Mom and Dad entered the room to see Molly holding their grandson. Of course, it was not what they were expecting, but after a while, everyone was crying from happiness. It's been a year for now. My nephew's name is Sam, and he is absolutely adorable. Molly has turned 18, and she's getting married to Tim soon. Yeah, they're back together. Actually, my sister is extremely lucky that her story ended happily. Sometimes fear blinds our judgment and makes us do really stupid things. Has fear ever made you act irrationally? How did you defeat it? I'd be happy to see your inspiring stories in the comments and to read them to my sister. You can also share this video with your friends and ask them about their experiences.